in priorities, operational details, as well as business decisions. So it will be Albinder Dhindsa who will now be handling the day-to-day operations of Zomato Blinkit. Albinder Dhindsa will be handling the day-to-day operations of Zomato. And of course, Deepinder Goyal will be involved in the operations as the vice chairman.
I also wanted to ask you that this resignation letter that is also there, where he's shared with the shareholders, where he said, I'm going to step away. He's written in that, why this change? He says, I find myself drawn to new ideas, which you were mentioning, Pranav. Then he says, what doesn't change? He said, I've spent 18 years, almost half of my life building the company, and I will continue doing that. What changes? He says, the center of gravity for operating decisions now is going to come from Albi. Are we going to also see a set of differences now that's going to come in Eternal? Because this is the company that's looking at Blinkit, Zomato as their parent company.
Well, not really, because he's also, if you would just go on, he's also saying that Blinkit's journey from acquisition to breakover happened under Albinder's leadership. So Blinkit remains our largest growth opportunity and will remain Albinder's priority. So he's necessarily commenting that Blinkit will also remain an important priority for Albinder Dhindsa, and while he continues to take care of the operations of Zomato on a day-to-day basis with full ownership and continues unchanged. So that's what he said. We'll still have to wait and see as to how things unfold. We'll have to see what kind of reactions are coming in from shareholders to get a detailed perspective on what exactly this means for Zomato, for Eternal, and for quick delivery platforms at large.
Also, we also get a sense, Pranav, that he said, looking ahead, 18 years ago, the idea that a menu scanning company could be worth tens of billions of dollars, providing livelihoods to hundreds of thousands of people and serve millions of people daily could be absurd. And he believes that Eternal is not going to lose focus or momentum through this change.
Well, absolutely. I mean, one of the most important concerns that shareholders have, which is also something that he's mentioned in his letter, is how will it financially impact. So two things that he has also clarified. I mean, we are obviously basing all the facts right now on the resignation letter that or stepping down letter that is put on X. What he says is that Eternal is not going to lose focus on momentum through this change, and he says that I still want Eternal to become India's most valuable company. So he's saying that even though he's stepping down, as from the primary role of being the CEO, the focus will remain on Eternal. The focus will remain on making it, India's most valuable company that he wants it to be. And he further adds that I want us to serve billion customers. So overall, largely, he's saying that there will not be any impact. The leadership change will not really impact the financials of the company, the overall larger goals of the company. But how it unfolds, how it impacts shareholders, we will obviously have to wait and watch when, in fact, the market opens tomorrow and see how the market is reacting to this announcement, which has actually come post-market hours today.
Yes, and Pranav, a final question here. This move is also coming amid the details that we've got and the controversy that's surrounding the delivery boys who've been speaking, the strikes that we've seen happen last year, in the end of last year. Does this have any motivations to what happened with that?
Well, it will be too early to comment on that. Obviously, he was at the epicenter of a lot that happened around the changed rules, which in turn affected the gig workers, so to say. But it would be too early to comment on whether the resignation, he's definitely clearly not mentioned anywhere that it is linked, and he's just said that it's a leadership change. He will be involved, but there's no direct comment made on the gig workers or the overall controversy that surrounded gig workers.
All right, we're also, Pranav, just stay on with us. We're also joined by a guest right now on the story, and I'm also going to go across to the guests who are now Kishore Subramaniam, who's now joining us on the phone line on the Stop Focus story. Mr. Kishore Subramaniam, what seems to be the real reason that we are seeing this change? Because it's very clear Deepinder Goyal now stepping away from being the main CEO of Eternal. I also want to go across before that to market expert Ajay Bagga, who's joining us on the phone line. Ajay Bagga, what seems to be the real reason behind this change of guard in Zomato, in Eternal, from Deepinder to Albinder?
Yeah, Rhythm, I would really not ascribe much to it. What he has said officially is what I would go by, that he is going to pursue some other, initiatives which did not dovetail into the public listed company. So he's, stepping off. His ownership remains. I hope he'll be on the board. So more than that, I would not read too much into it because it's not that he was under any pressure because of all the union and all that talk that was going on about the gig economy. He had come out, on the front foot as far as that goes. I think but it is surprising because a move of this magnitude, normally you would have somebody taking time. So that points to something more, but all that is speculation right now. We'll know the story later on. I would go by the official line right now, Rhythm.
Absolutely. And Ajay, just stay on with us for a minute. I also want Pranav, our business editor, to take a question from you. Pranav, if you would like to ask our market expert, Mr. Bagga, a question on this.
Mr. Bagga, in fact, management is one of the most important factors that investors, the long-term investors, the fundamental investors actually watch out for. Do you think Zomato's, that is Deepinder Goyal's stepping down and giving the reins to Albinder Dhindsa, who's actually the subsidy that that Zomato took over, in fact, in 2022. Do you think that is going to be, how do you think it will be looked at? How do you think it will be analyzed by long-term shareholders, sir?
Yeah, again, as I said, it's just a breaking story right now. They came out with their earnings announcement. So maybe they were in a blackout period and they could not share it. And you have seen he's been quite active in the media defending the gig economy. So it is a surprise. But I would go by what they are saying. How investors would look at it, they would have taken the main investors into confidence. Hopefully that would have happened along with the earnings call today. So more than that, we'll have to wait and watch and see for further news on this, whether it's a forced move out of the company based on his very active media role, or it's actually pursuing some other initiatives. You look at Elon Musk, for example, he runs 4 companies simultaneously. He does not step out of the company for that. So what you would really think is, yes, you have some new initiatives you want to take on. You can do those along with this job because it's not that, your importance within the company is very critical. So that would be your first reaction. Second, no time given. So it's come as a bolt out of the blue. That points to something more than meets the eye. But with lack of information, we have to just go by what the company has put out.
Mr. Bagga, one of the specific mentions that he has is that all of my unvested
Mr. Bagga, and you for just 1 minute, because I also introduce on our show Mr. Kishore Subramaniam, financial analyst, who's also joining us on this. Mr. Subramaniam, how are you looking at this move? Like we were discussing with Mr. Ajay Bagga, it seems to be a move, like Deepinder is saying, towards better ideas, toward bigger goals. But how are the investors going to look at it, like Pranav was asking?
To be honest, it's a very surprising move because such major moves generally happens with transition happening properly. It doesn't happen overnight. And I'm sure they would have taken the large investors into confidence before this move was taken. But for the market, it's a very surprising move because generally founder promoters moving out abruptly signals to much more than what's visible to the naked eye.
I've also wanted to take a question with you. Pranav?
Well, I just wanted to understand. So the only comment, I mean, in such cases, they've normally clarified. I mean, he's, as all CEOs do, that the change is not likely to affect the financial future of the company. But one specific comment that he's made here is all of my unvested ESOPs will revert to the ESOP pool. I just want to understand from you, what does this technically actually mean for shareholders? What does it mean for the value of the share?
See, the market is going to first give an initial quick reaction to it, and that, according to me, personally will be negative. Because, any time a founder promoter moves out, there is always a fear of uncertainty, and that fear of uncertainty is always negative for a stock. And if there was a transition mode and there was a clear press note release saying that why he has moved out and stuff, then it would have given a lot more clarity. But this currently, there is no clarity. We have to only go by what the organization is putting out. Yes, obviously, they are going to say that it will not affect the financial future of the company. But if there are some negative associated news which is yet to be released, then we need to watch out. But my quick understanding, without knowing much of details, is that there will be a negative bias to the entire news because he is the founder promoter, and that's very, very critical for somebody of that stature in such an organization to remain.
Mr. Subramaniam, there has been a constant, a lot of talks about the way quick commerce has been going forward. We've seen the recent changes as far as the gig workers is concerned, the 10-minute delivery controversy, and Blinkit was the first to, in fact, at least on paper or on the app, reflect and follow that rule. There have been, of course, a lot of debates going around this. Now, the management change, you feel that there will be even more changes. You feel that these meetings that had happened also during the gig workers protest somewhere has also caused a stir within the company?
No, if you look at what Mr. Deepinder has personally told, that I have found myself drawn to a set of new ideas that involve significantly very high-risk exploration and experimentation. These are better pursued outside, which means there are some conflicts which are probably, I'm just guessing, second guessing going on between the management and his personal interest. And you would also have seen his media presence and his particular comments. So this big worker issue and his resignation may not correlate. But when he says, I have other ideas, and then he says about his ESOP unvested converting, it adds that what has been revealed on media and what is known to you and me is probably not the complete picture. But as days progress, I surely believe more is to come out.
Right. Mr. Subramaniam, many thanks for joining us on Republic, and many thanks, Arnab, for also getting us those details on that big development from the world of business that's coming in today. Shifting focus to Davos now, reviewers. Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnav strongly pushed back against IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva's characterization of India as a second-tier AI power during a panel discussion at the World Economic Forum in Davos. Addressing the IMF chief directly, Ashwini Vaishnav questioned the criteria behind the classification. Here's a look at what happened.
Panel discussion was taking place on AI and economy at Davos in Switzerland. That is when IMF chief suggested that India comes in the second grouping of AI power, which is that India is a second-tier AI power. That is when Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnav hit back at IMF saying that this is incorrect, this classification is incorrect, and that Stanford, which is a reputed institution, ranks India at the third position in AI preparedness. Listen in to what exactly happened at Davos.
95% of the work can happen with models which are 10 or 50 billion parameters. We are creating a bouquet of such models. We already have a bouquet of such models which are now being deployed in multiple sectors to increase the productivity, to increase the efficiency, to increase the effective use of technology. So our focus is very much on making sure that AI diffusion happens in a very big way. And I don't know what the IMF criteria has been, but Stanford places India as third in terms of AI penetration, in terms of AI preparedness, and in terms of AI talent.
So there you have it, Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnav hitting back hard at IMF chief and talking about how India is taking steps towards AI transformation. If I have to tell you, India is already taking steps and taking initiatives like India AI Mission to advance itself in AI economy. And talking about the numbers, AI could add up to $1.7 million in India's AI economy by 2035.
Right now, U.S. envoy, Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff to meet President Vladimir Putin of Russia tomorrow. That's the breaking news we have right now. Trump's West Asia, Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff to meet Putin in Moscow tomorrow. That's the breaking news we have right now. Renewed talks on Ukraine. That's what is expected to be on the table as Witkoff will be meeting Vladimir Putin tomorrow. And that's the breaking news we have right now. What we understand is that Witkoff will be traveling with Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner to Moscow and meet Russian President Vladimir Putin. And that's the breaking news we have right now. This is a meeting, remember, coming in after there is stagnancy as far as there is a deadlock as far as Ukraine ceasefire is concerned. Kremlin last week, remember, said it was preparing to welcome Witkoff and Jared Kushner to Moscow for peace talks on Ukraine. No dates had been set back then, but now it's final. And Witkoff has announced himself that he will be meeting President Vladimir Putin tomorrow. And that's the breaking news we have right now. This is a significant development coming in as US continues to push for the talks on the Ukraine-Russia war. Right, shifting focus back to politics now. TTV Dinakaran, leader of the AMMK, has rejoined the NDA months ahead of the Tamil Nadu Assembly elections. This comes months after he exited the alliance, citing arrogance by AIADMK leader and former Chief Minister E. Palaniswamy. Now, Dinakaran told media after rejoining NDA that, and I quote him, "Those who compromise do not lose." In the presence of Union Minister Piyush Goyal, Dinakaran says that this is a new beginning and that the alliance will strive to form a new government in Tamil Nadu. So, a boost coming in for the NDA as Dinakaran joins the NDA back. He is the nephew of V.K. Sasikala. And just take a listen into what Dinakaran said right after he came back to the NDA fold.
I am very happy and I am very glad that I have rejoined NDA. Surely we are going to form our Amma's government in Tamil Nadu, because in 2021, Honorable Amit Shah ji tried for this to bring Amma's government. Now he succeeded in it. Surely we are going to form Amma's government in Tamil Nadu.
Relationship with Edappadi
Sir, it was only same family and we are all brothers. We had fight. Now I have forgotten everything. See, in the interest of Tamil Nadu and the interest of my party, I have given up everything. Only my thought is, only there is in my mind that we should form NDA government in Tamil Nadu.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, a chilling pattern is emerging from Kerala's Kasaragod district. Young women missing, families shattered, and questions left unanswered. Republic TV investigates the disturbing allegations of radicalization through marriage, what locals describe as love jihad. Families claim that young women were allegedly converted, indoctrinated, and then completely cut off from their loved ones. Some never returned. Some are believed to have vanished across borders. Others are alleged to have been pushed into extremist networks linked to banned terror organizations. In fact, Kerala governor also spoke to Republic TV on the ISIS radicalization threat, saying that the state cannot be theocratic. Take a look.
Yesterday, there was a debate in the Republic TV, in 2017, around 21 members from some Muslim families in Kasaragod, from Padanna, Thirukkaripur and Balapattanam joined IS, and they sent a message stating that they reached their final destination and they are fighting for the Islamic Republic, Islamic State. And when we were in Kasaragod for 1 week, and we examined the current status of such practices, such radicalized activities in Kasaragod. And we met even the CPM leaders in Kasaragod. We met a number of families, more than 20 families we met, and we recorded all the statements of these people. They say such practices are still continuing in Kerala, in Kasaragod, especially in the northern parts of Kerala. So love jihad, other radicalized activities, and the PFI was banned. Even though it was banned, the activities of PFI has been taking place through the banners of STPI, Jamaat and all the other communal-based organizations. So why the state government, even the UDF, are not even willing to speak a single word against such radicalized activities in the state?
So what is there? What am I to say? Let them to see. This country is a democratic country, as I said in the very first thing, and this country cannot be a theocratic state, cannot be ruled by one religion, one thing, and it is a democracy here. We are living in a very good atmosphere. Nobody should try to disturb that. That's all.
Okay. Thank you.
And shifting focus back to Davos now, Emmanuel Macron, the French president, called out Donald Trump's bullying as European leaders united to prepare for a showdown with the US president over his demands on Greenland. And as Donald Trump doubled down on his demands for the Danish sovereign territory and exacerbated his threats of tariff on allies who opposed the move with the shocking reveal of private texts he had received from Macron and other world leaders. Now, the French president says that the EU, European Union, should not bend to the law of the strongest and should resist what he called the new colonial approach.
Macron saying he will not join the Board of Peace?
Oh, did he say that? Well, nobody wants him because he's going to be out of office very soon. So, I'll put a 200% tariff on his wines and champagnes and he'll join. But he doesn't have to join.
But we do prefer respect to bullies.
The world's two biggest leaders, U.S. President Donald Trump and French President Emmanuel Macron, were seen bickering. The fight started just before the World Economic Forum in Davos, when Trump invited President Macron at Board of Peace, which will aim to restore peace in Gaza and other war-affected areas. However, the French president rejected the invitation.
Have you invited President Putin to be a member of the Board of Peace? Yeah, he's been invited.
Do you have any response to President Macron saying he will not join the Board of Peace?
Oh, did he say that? Well, nobody wants him because he's going to be out of office very soon. So, that's all right. What I'll do is if they feel like Costco, I'll put a 200% tariff on his wines and champagnes and he'll join. But he doesn't have to join. If he said that, you're probably giving it to me a little bit differently. But if he actually did say that, but as you know, he's going to be out of office in a few months.
Later, just before the Davos event started, Trump leaked private text messages with Macron about Greenland after having threatened him with 200% tariffs. President Macron had to respond to Trump, and he did, on stage in front of world and business leaders.
This is as well a shift toward a world without effective collective governance, and where multilateralism is weakened by powers that obstruct it or turn away from it, and rules are undermined. And I can multiply the examples of international bodies weakened or left by the key economies. And when we look at the situation, it's clearly a very concerning time, because we are killing the structure where we can fix the situation and the common challenges we have.
देगी मिर्च का तड़का, अंग अंग फड़का। MBH की देगी मिर्च।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे, केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
आर प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ,
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
इसको घर पे लगाओगे तो शादी का तो पता नहीं, पर घर पक्का नहीं टूटेगा।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड।
पहाड़ों में एक हाइकिंग शिप भी बन सकती है।
आर प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, हेल्दी एवरी डे।
Iran is boiling. Iranians are protesting against the Khamenei regime. U.S. President Donald Trump has urged Iranians to keep protesting and take over institutions, and has assured them that help is on the way.
Well, no, they're starting to, it looks like, and there seem to be some people killed that aren't supposed to be killed. These are violent, if you call them leaders, I don't know if they're leaders or just they rule through violence. But we're looking at it very seriously. The military is looking at it, and we're looking at some very strong options. We'll make a determination. Well, if they do that, we'll consider things targets that they wouldn't believe. If they do that, we will hit them at levels that they've never been hit before. They won't even believe it. I have options that are so strong. So, I mean, if they did that, it'll be met with a very, very powerful force.
So Iran's in big trouble. It looks to me that the people are taking over certain cities that nobody thought were really possible just a few weeks ago. We're watching the situation very carefully. I've made the statement very strongly that if they start killing people like they have in the past, we will get involved. We'll be hitting them very hard where it hurts. And that doesn't mean boots on the ground, but it means hitting them very, very hard where it hurts. So we don't want that to happen. There have been cases like this where President Obama totally backed down. But this is something pretty incredible that's happening in Iran.
आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे, केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है। अरे मेरे राजा, सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल, ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े, क्या निराला MDH मसाला। आर प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ,
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
Iran is boiling. Iranians are protesting against the Khamenei regime. U.S. President Donald Trump has urged Iranians to keep protesting and take over institutions, and has assured them that help is on the way.
Well, no, they're starting to, it looks like, and there seem to be some people.
Right, viewers, now we shift our focus to the other story that are coming in today, but a quick check of the headlines at 5 p.m. first. Okay, viewers, we're just getting to a story of the Shankaracharya Rao, where Swami Avimukteswaranand, the Prayagraj administration has issued a notice to massively controversial self-styled government, to the controversial Swami Avimukteswaranand, and after he used the title Shankaracharya during a recent event, sparking a row. And in fact, we are being joined by a guest on the broadcast, Vajradehi Swamiji, who is the chief of the Vajradehi Math. Swamiji, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। और ये जो पूरा विवाद छिड़ा हुआ है कि शंकराचार्य आखिर कौन है, जो पॉलिटिक्स चल रही है वो एक जगह है, लेकिन शंकराचार्य जो उपाधि है उसी पर एक विवाद छिड़ गया है। इसको लेकर आपकी क्या राय है, आप क्या जानकारी, क्या आप कैसे समझा सकते हैं दर्शकों को कि आखिरकार एक शंकराचार्य किसे कहा जाता है?
शंकराचार्य ने वो जो मठ है वो शैव सिद्धांत का बारे में हुआ है। शैव सिद्धांत का बारे में वो जो मठ बनाया शंकराचार्य जी ने, वो चारों ओर से किया, मीन्स चारों ओर से किया। चारों ओर से करने के बाद शंकराचार्य जी ने पुरी और श्रृंगेरी और कांची कामकोटी और गोवर्धन पीठ, वैसा चारों मीन्स चारों साइन में किया। उसके लिए शंकराचार्य जी ने उस समय जो हमारा सनातन सिद्धांत है, सनातन धर्म का जो सिद्धांत है, वो सिद्धांत बांटने के लिए, उसको प्रचार करने के लिए ऐसा 4 मठ बनाया।
जी, तो अभी जो ये विवाद छिड़ा हुआ है स्वामी अभिमुक्तेश्वरानंद जी पर, जिस तरह से उनको रोका गया, उनकी पालकी रोकी गई और फिर कहा गया कि ये उन्होंने उल्टा एक अब नोटिस भेज दिया है योगी सरकार को ही इस बारे में, वहीं उनको लेकर कहा जा रहा है कि आप शंकराचार्य क्यों हैं ये बताएं, इस पर आपकी क्या राय है?
भी ऐसा राय है, वो जो शंकराचार्य के पिता के बारे में अभिमुक्तेश्वरानंद जी को सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने एक केस है उधर दर्ज किया था, शायद 2022 में वो केस बनाया था। वो केस के बारे में जो अभिमुक्तेश्वरानंद महाराज को उधर बिताने के लिए उधर से निशाना नहीं मिला, सुप्रीम कोर्ट से निशाना नहीं मिला, वो अब तक भी जारी है। तो उसकी वजह से अभिमुक्तेश्वरानंद जी अभी पीठ से चला जाता है। वो अलग अलग धार्मिक जो कार्यक्रम है उधर भी अभिमुक्तेश्वरानंद महाराज चलते जाता, वो उधर जाके उनका जो डिवाइन स्पिरिचुअल कार्यक्रम जो है वो करने के लिए जाते रहता है। तो अभी जो कुंभ मेल चल रहा है उधर कुछ ना कुछ तरीका का घटना चलाया, वो घटना के बारे में उसका विवाद चल रहा है अभी।
जी, तो आप किस पक्ष से आप सहमति जताते हैं? क्या आपको लगता है जो उनके साथ हुआ वो गलत है, और क्या आपको लगता है कि शंकराचार्य का नाम लेकर, जब एक विवादित, अभी भी उनका जो विवाद आप ही ने बताया जिस तरह से एक कोर्ट केस भी चल रहा है, तो क्या ये सही है शंकराचार्य उपाधि का इस्तेमाल करना?
नहीं, अभिमुक्तेश्वरानंद जी शंकराचार्य का उपाधि जो उन्होंने लगा है वो एकदम गलत है, हमारी तरफ से एकदम गलत है। क्यों गलत? मीन्स अभी सुप्रीम कोर्ट जो बताया, सुप्रीम कोर्ट के बारे में जो पहले वासुदेवानंद सरस्वती जी का भी वो उधर उनका भी दावा था, वो दावा पूरा नहीं। अभी अभिमुक्तेश्वरानंद जी महाराज का विचार का बारे में जो अभी चल रहा है वो एकदम सही बोल के दिखता है, क्योंकि अभिमुक्तेश्वरानंद जी पहले भी सनातन धर्म का बारे में भी बताया और इसकी पहले उनका जो राजकीय विचारधारा का बारे में भी बताया, तो हमको ये पूरा अच्छी तरफ से सही नहीं दिखता है।
जी स्वामी जी, जिस तरह से उन्होंने फ़ोन घुमाया अखिलेश यादव को, और अखिलेश यादव तो वही है जब वो चीफ मिनिस्टर थे तो काफ़ी प्रहार किया गया था उन्हीं पर जब वो वाराणसी में थे, 2015 की बात है। तो आपको लगता है कहीं ना कहीं इस मामले को एक सियासी तूल दिया जा रहा है स्वामी जी द्वारा?
सही दिखता है मेरे को, क्योंकि वो स्वामी जी को हटाने के लिए अभी उनका इरादा है, वो उनका इरादा अखिलेश यादव जी ने जो किया वो भी गलत है, उसकी वजह से तो अच्छा नहीं दिखता है। क्योंकि अभी जो महाराज है वो महाराज का बारे में कुछ ना कुछ तरीका का जो इलाज हो रहा है, वो तो कानून की प्रक्रिया है। कानून की प्रक्रिया का बारे में महाराज ने बता देंगे उसका हालत क्या है।
जी, तो ये जो पदवी है शंकराचार्य की, उसको लेकर कैसे डिसाइड होता है? कोर्ट से लेकर जो तमाम जो हमारे स्क्रिप्चर्स के हिसाब से जो भी दे रखे हैं, जो बड़े कड़े और बड़े सख्त नियम है जहाँ तक बात है इस पदवी को लेकर, तो वो अगर आप हमारे दर्शकों को थोड़ा सा समझा सके किस तरह से इनका पालन किया जाता है और इसमें कोर्ट कैसे भूमिका निभाता है।
भी 4 पीठ है, 4 पीठ में गोवर्धन पीठ भी है। गोवर्धन पीठ का महाराज जो बोला है, अभी जो केस दर्ज हुआ वो सुप्रीम कोर्ट में है। हमने क्या बोलते हैं, धर्म का बारे में जो बोलने का है पीठाधीश्वर ने बोलने का है
जी।
कोर्ट उसका बारे में इंटरफियर नहीं होना चाहिए जी। क्योंकि धर्म पालन करता है सभी मठ का मठाधीश लोग।
बिल्कुल,
जो मठ है वो उधर का जो मठ का अनुशासन निभाना चाहिए, तो उसका गलत क्या भी होता है।
बिल्कुल, विवाद उसी पर बिल्कुल छिड़ रहा है। और बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद हमारे जुड़ने के लिए स्वामी जी, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया हमारे जुड़ने के लिए। एंड राइट नाउ वी आर गोइंग अक्रॉस स्ट्रेट टू Davos viewers, where we are getting in visuals of Donald Trump's arrival. That's the breaking news right now. At this hour, you can see the aircraft that has just touched down. That is Donald Trump's aircraft. That is down near Zurich. And this after there was a delay due to what is called a minor electrical issue on the Air Force One aircraft. So it was a delayed arrival due to Davos, Switzerland, and he now arrived in near Zurich. That's the breaking news we have right now. As this is the World Economic Forum in Switzerland, dominated by Trump's admission now to take control of Greenland, and there will be, of course, many questions. And Europe continues to push back against Donald Trump. First pictures coming in, Trump touching down near Zurich before traveling to Davos. And that's the breaking news we have right now. Trump's arrival in Davos. And remember, there was a glitch earlier. The Air Force One had turned back as it was carrying Trump to Davos. And it returned to the joint base Andrews. And but we see that he has now finally arrived, and it's the world has its eyes on Donald Trump today. This is coming in after his incessant assertions on the Greenland issue, and he's heading to meet the world leaders. As Greenland minister also said that we do not want to be Americans. There is a massive push from Trump on Greenland, and the European Union has been now raising also the voice against what's happening, and of course threatens the unity, the integrity of the NATO as well, with what Trump has been saying all this while and asserting the claims. And now we have the visuals coming in from Zurich in Switzerland as Donald Trump's aircraft touches down near Zurich before traveling to Davos. So he will be traveling to Davos from here on. So that's Donald Trump's arrival, and he will be addressing the Davos summit soon today. The World Economic Forum. Republic TV continues to get you each and every update from Davos, as this is the latest visual we are getting in from Switzerland, Zurich, and this, ahead of his arrival, Trump had doubled down on Greenland threats, saying that there is no going back as far as taking control of Greenland is concerned. And it will be interesting to see how he's received there at Davos, and from French President Macron to Ursula von der Leyen of European Union had made their stance clear on the issue. But the question remains, will they be able to stop Donald Trump? And the threats on Greenland tops his agenda. That's very, very clear. And all eyes and all ears will be on his address at Davos. So this is live visuals coming in. Trump will be soon going to the venue at Davos and meet the world leaders amid clash over Greenland. He's touched down in Switzerland later than scheduled after his Air Force One aircraft had turned around due to what is called minor electrical issue. He's touched down now, and he will be addressing the World Economic Forum as he doubles down on his threats over Greenland, over the hostile campaign, as he continues with his hostile campaign to take over Greenland. We've seen his multiple posts on Truth Social where he uses an AI-generated map showing Greenland and Canada and Venezuela as a part of United States territory, as American territory, what he calls the new map of America, where he's there standing over a piece of land which says Greenland, annexed by United States of America. So the signaling has been going a long time now, hostile campaign, and he doubles down before his arrival. And now all eyes will be on what he says in this address today, which will be happening in a short while from now. Trump has touched down in Switzerland, and his insistence on seizing the Danish territory has stunned his longtime U.S. allies, scrambling to respond now. And in fact, the Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney had warned the world that it was in the midst of rupture, that the world is in midst of a rupture. The Canadian Prime Minister has also warned ahead of his arrival. Trump will be expected to speak shortly. And this is the breaking news we have right now. And visuals coming in from Zurich. And we expect him to speak in an hour or two. Trump's address will have all eyes. He will be traveling to Davos from Zurich via a helicopter. That's what we know so far. So he has touched down on Zurich, and now he will be. In fact, there's a lot of resistance that is coming in, a lot of protests also happening in Davos. Not to forget, there are a lot of protests that are happening. A lit up sign has been put up over Davos that reads "No Kings," because there are tensions over Greenland that persist, and the Ukraine issue also remains one at the forefront. And we will continue to get you more details on that. In fact, viewers, one of the top allies, Emmanuel Macron, has called out Donald Trump's bullying as European leaders unite to prepare for a showdown with the US president over his demands for Greenland. And as Trump doubles down on his demands for the Danish sovereign territory and exacerbated his threat of tariffs on allies who opposed the move with the shocking reveal of private texts he had received from Macron and other world leaders, the French president now says that the European Union should not bend to the law of the strongest and should resist what he calls the new colonial approach.
Macron saying he will not join the Board of Peace?
Oh, did he say that? Well, nobody wants him because he's going to be out of office very soon. So, I'll put a 200% tariff on his wines and champagnes, and he'll join. But he doesn't have to join.
But we do prefer respect to bullies.
The world's two biggest leaders, U.S. President Donald Trump and French President Emmanuel Macron, were seen bickering. The fight started just before the World Economic Forum in Davos, when Trump invited President Macron at Board of Peace, which will aim to restore peace in Gaza and other war-affected areas. However, the French president rejected the invitation.
Have you invited President Putin to be a member of the Board of Peace?
Yeah, he's been invited.
Do you have any response to President Macron saying he will not join the Board of Peace?
Oh, did he say that? Well,
Yeah.
nobody wants him because he's going to be out of office very soon. So, that's all right. What I'll do is if they feel like Costco, I'll put a 200% tariff on his wines and champagnes, and he'll join. But he doesn't have to join. If he said that, you're probably giving it to me a little bit differently. But if he actually did say that, but as you know, he's going to be out of office in a few months.
Later, just before the Davos event started, Trump leaked private text messages with Macron about Greenland after having threatened him with 200% tariffs. President Macron had to respond to Trump, and he did, on stage in front of world and business leaders.
This is as well a shift toward a world without effective collective governance, and where multilateralism is weakened by powers that obstruct it or turn away from it, and rules are undermined. And I can multiply the examples of international bodies weakened or left by the key economies. And when we look at the situation, it's clearly a very concerning time, because we are killing the structure where we can fix the situation and the common challenges we have. Without collective governance, cooperation gives way to relentless competition. Competition from the United States of America through trade agreements that undermine our export interests, demand maximum concessions, and openly aim to weaken and subordinate Europe, combined with an endless accumulation of new tariffs that are fundamentally unacceptable, even more so when they are used as leverage against territorial sovereignty. Faced with the brutalization of the world, France and Europe must defend an effective multilateralism, because it serves our interests and those of all who refuse to submit to the rule of force. Obviously, France and Europe are attached to national sovereignty and independence, to the United Nations and to its charter. And it's not an old-fashioned way to live multilateralism. It's just not to totally forget what we learned from the Second World War and remain committed to cooperation. And this is also because of those principles that we have decided to join the mutual exercise in Greenland without threatening anyone, but just supporting an ally and another European country, Denmark.
Not only Macron, but also Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney did not hold back in calling out Trump's tactics.
It seems that every day we're reminded that we live in an era of great power rivalry, that the rules-based order is fading, that the strong can do what they can and the weak must suffer what they must. And this aphorism of Thucydides is presented as inevitable, as the natural logic of international relations reasserting itself. And faced with this logic, there is a strong tendency for countries to go along to get along, to accommodate, to avoid trouble, to hope that compliance will buy safety. Well, it won't.
After Trump openly called out many world leaders, is he going to stop?
How far are you willing to go to acquire Greenland?
You'll find out.
So Trump has just arrived. It's a delayed arrival. We'll tell you why. Because the Air Force One aircraft that was in fact carrying him to Davos earlier today had experienced what is called a minor electrical glitch. Now, this is a rare occurrence when it comes to the President of the United States aircraft. So he has in fact come to Switzerland on a backup aircraft, on a backup plane. My colleague Hina explains you more.
Viewers, world leaders started to arrive at Davos in Switzerland to attend the World Economic Forum Summit. And of course, US President Donald Trump also started the journey, in fact, from Joint Andrews Base in Maryland, which is close by Washington. He started his journey, he was flying over the Atlantic Ocean, and that is when what we are getting to know from the White House is that a minor electrical issue took place with the aircraft. And at that point, when it was flying over the Atlantic Ocean, it had to take a U-turn. So that was a mid-air reversal which took place of the Air Force One. And then, of course, the journey ended at the Joint Andrews Base in Maryland. And of course, Donald Trump had to take a smaller Boeing 757 plane. But the big question here is, what about the Air Force One? It is aging. It is 4 decades old aircraft that we are talking about. So the big questions that we have in front of us is that an electrical issue took place, but is Air Force One fit enough, suitable enough to fly the President of the United States? And also we need to ask the larger question, which is, if US Congress and US Air Force complicit to ensure the safety and the security of the President of the United States.
All right, we are going across straight to the visuals coming in from Switzerland, Zurich, where Donald Trump has just arrived a while back, has touched down, and now he will be exiting. He will be deboarding the aircraft in which he reached Zurich, and he will be taking the helicopter. He will be flying to Davos via a helicopter in a chopper from Zurich, and that's Donald Trump. So that's the visual coming in live from the Zurich airport, where Donald Trump's aircraft has landed. We showed you the live visuals a while back. Tensions over Greenland, of course, continue to persist, and Trump faces a tough reception, it seems, in Davos. We do not know what's he going to say, and all eyes will be on his address. It's going to happen around 7 p.m. Indian Standard Time. And right now, we are watching those live visuals coming in from Zurich of President Donald Trump of the United States. He arrives in Switzerland to meet the world leaders, as US says that UK has let down over Chargo's deal. Multiple issues, of course, but Greenland tops the agenda as far as Donald Trump is concerned, and so does the European Union. And Trump has now reached Switzerland. He's in Zurich. He will be flying to Davos. That's the venue for World Economic Forum. And earlier we had the US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent saying that UK was talking about the situation as far as Greenland is concerned. Trump had said he will add a 10% tariff to goods imported from 8 European countries that oppose his plan to take over Greenland. And that is, of course, one of the biggest threats that EU faces. French President Macron had said the European Union could consider a series of retaliatory options that includes a trade bazooka, as he called it. And so there have been these war of words, so to speak, over Greenland, and the tariff threats from Donald Trump, his favorite weapon these days. And we wait for Trump to get off his plane, to deboard the plane, the aircraft, and he will be heading to Davos. And to surprise you with in fact, there has been a lot of comments that have come in from several European leaders as far as Greenland is concerned. European Union chief Ursula von der Leyen had said that Europe needs to abandon caution after after the comments of the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. In fact, and EU also has said, European Union says that future of Greenland is only for the Greenlanders to decide. She had reiterated and saying that the future of Greenland is for the Greenlanders to decide, warning Europe needs to transform the ways in which it thinks and acts, stepping up to challenges posed by the rapidly changing world order. The center of it all is what Trump has been doing. And emboldened after Maduro's capture and taking control of Venezuela, he has pushed his agenda for the annexation of Greenland. So much so that he has also reiterated his ambitions about Canada. We've seen the map that he has shared just yesterday on Truth Social. As he showed Canada and Greenland along with Venezuela being part of American territory. The new map, AI-generated map by Donald Trump, posted on Truth Social. And now that will be, of course, all eyes will be on that address, as this is Donald Trump who has doubled down on his agenda against Greenland, on Greenland. And there have been a series of meetings also planned with Donald Trump of different world leaders. Trade talks also important. In fact, EU says that it's time for engagement, not escalation. And the European Commission also has made Trade Commissioner Sefcovic has met the US trade representative also in Davos just a while back. And Witkoff, meanwhile, will be meeting Russia's Putin for talks on Ukraine, focusing on what he calls land deals as well. European Union chief von der Leyen says that she will not be meeting Donald Trump in Davos. This was confirmed a while back by the European Union. European Commission's midday briefing that highlighted that she was going back to Brussels for European Council meeting, and she will not be meeting Donald Trump. So she's not going back to Davos. She will not be holding any meeting with Donald Trump. And that's the breaking news we have right now, as we're getting you more and more updates. He's reached Zurich. Donald Trump has reached Zurich. It was a delayed trip to Davos. His stand-in plane, the Air Force One. This is the backup plane that has carried him to Zurich. And he will be addressing the World Economic Forum very, very soon. His main plane, Air Force One, was forced to abort its flight to Switzerland and turn back after what officials describe as a minor electrical issue. And that's the update we have. We're waiting for Donald Trump to exit from the plane. I think we're getting in the visuals. There's some movement inside the aircraft, and you'll soon see President of the United States deboarding from the aircraft. So there's lots happening. There's a lot of build-up by the European leaders as well, as we've witnessed the comments that have come in, even not just from the European leader, but also from the Canadian leader, Mark Carney, as well. My colleague Ishita joins us live on the broadcast for more. Well, Ishita, all eyes are on Donald Trump's address at the World Economic Forum. Greenland tops his agenda. A lot of protests also going on as far as Davos is concerned against Donald Trump. And the question, of course, remains on will he not just double down but triple down on his agenda on Greenland? And what are the European leaders going to do about it? Ishita.
All right, Rakshita, you're right. We're getting visuals of the Air Force One touching down in Zurich. And in fact, in a few moments from now, we'll see Donald Trump be coming out, and then he's going to take a helicopter to land at Davos, where he's going to address the World Economic Forum. And all eyes are going to be on that, because you see, Donald Trump is not a fan of world order. He's not a fan of international organization. With him, it's highway or my way. So, we're going to be looking at this address that he's going to be addressing, in fact, at World Economic Forum. And the big question is around the debate going on over Greenland and Denmark. We have seen Donald Trump aggressively asserting US control, saying that if US does not take over Greenland, it is China, it is Russia that's going to take over. And it is very important for the security of the United States that, in fact, the US takes over Greenland. That's a big debate that's going on right now. You see, in fact, at this point, we're witnessing a global churn. European nations are trying to navigate how to deal with this president who is so unpredictable, who is, time and again challenging the transatlantic ties, the relationship that have been going on for decades. In fact, we've seen on Greenland itself, Donald Trump has threatened tariffs on NATO nations, saying that if do not go ahead with the deal or they do not support the deal, this is what their fate is going to be. So we're looking at this address that's going to take place in exactly 1.5 hours from now, where Donald Trump takes the center stage at World Economic Forum. And of course, Greenland is something that's going to come up. A tariff is something that's also likely to come up. And also, you know, the fact that Donald Trump does not believe in giving space to international organizations or following the international order. So definitely we're looking forward to this address that Donald Trump is going to be, in fact, doing in 1.5 hours from now.
All right, Ishita, request you to stay with me. And ladies and gentlemen, for those who have just switched on your television right now, we are reporting live. Those are the live shots that we're getting in from Zurich in Switzerland, where Donald Trump has just landed. His plane has just landed in Zurich in Switzerland, and he will be heading straight to Davos to address the World Economic Forum. President Donald Trump, he's all set to speak at the World Economic Forum, directly addressing an audience that has been put on the edge by his intensifying aggression towards the allied territory of Greenland. Trump's speech is scheduled to begin almost an hour and a half from now. That is somewhere around 7 p.m. is the time that we have got that Donald Trump will be speaking at Davos. And the address will be bookended by meetings with other leaders attending the 5-day summit in Davos in Switzerland, is what the White House had also said. Now, Trump is facing a tough midterm election cycle entered on Americans' cost of living concerns. Previously said he will speak at Davos, but proposals to make housing more affordable. So these are some of the things that he'll be speaking on. What we also know is that Greenland push tariff threats will be taking center stage. All right, Ishita continues to stay with me on the broadcast. Ishita, live shots there coming in from Zurich, Switzerland. What is it that we are looking forward to as far as Donald Trump's address is concerned? Because the world is watching today, and it is clear it is going to be EU versus Donald Trump today at Davos. All eyes are on the speech that he's going to make at 7 p.m. Of course, tariff and the case of him taking over Greenland, of him buying Greenland, stays the number one issue there.
Right, of course, those are the issues that are going to take a center stage when Donald Trump takes the dais at World Economics Forum in Davos exactly 1.5 hours from now. You know, the big question is, when we look at Donald Trump, we're not expecting something that's going to go aligned with traditions. You know, he's a rule breaker. He's somebody who comes out and tells you that this is what I want. And this has been his foreign policy. In fact, if there is a foreign policy for the United States right now. So when we talk about his address, you see, it comes at this point when European allies, they're trying to navigate how to deal with this president. They're trying to find out how do we maintain a stable relationship with the United States when it is coming all out on even allies. It is not sparing anyone. Even when we talk about India, you know, all over the world, we're looking at countries trying to navigate their relationship with President Trump, who says the relationship will only work if I'm going to get something in benefit. If it goes my way, this is the only way I'm going to maintain relations. We've seen what happened in Venezuela. We've seen what happened in Iran. This man does not has any respect for international order. He went into Venezuela, conducted the strikes, captured, or in fact, if I may call it, abducted the president, Nicolas Maduro, and then got him and his wife back to US. There's a case going on against the two leaders. So we're looking at something really unpredictable at this point when he takes center stage and talks about Greenland or even the tariff threat, because he's sparing no one clearly. He's not following the world order. He has no respect for the international norms. And in fact, the world order that we have known, you know, let's say post 1945, post the end of Second World War, and then after the fall of Berlin Wall in 1990s, it's absolutely going to change, you know. And this is one speech, in fact, where we could get some highlight of how Donald Trump is going to take action over Greenland, because he's already said that military action is on the table, which means he could also take on allies when it comes to Greenland. He's not going to budge when it comes to the issue of that Arctic island and the security of the United States. So we're expecting something unpredictable. And of course, it's Donald Trump, so you cannot say that this is the line he's going to toe. It's Donald Trump's, of course, all eyes are going to be on him when he addresses World Economic Forum. And of course, specifically, European allies are going to be listening very closely as to which way he's going to go.
Absolutely. Ishita, stay with me. And like we're just showing you the visuals, any moment from now, Donald Trump will be coming out of the plane. What we do know is he will be taking a chopper from Zurich straight to Davos. 7 p.m. is the time that we are given, wherein he will be addressing the World Economic Forum. Ishita, do you think with the issues of Greenland and acquiring Greenland in him facing a lot of pushback, be it from Emmanuel Macron or the UK, do you think that there is a possible urgent diplomatic intervention that Trump could possibly face as far as his speech is concerned in the World Economic Forum today?
I'm sorry, I didn't get your question. Could you just repeat the last point?
Yes, Ishita, do you think there will be an urgent diplomatic intervention which will be awaiting Trump today while he's making his speech at Davos, keeping in mind how he's going all cats and dogs to take over Greenland? Do you think that there'll be an urgent diplomatic intervention there as well from EU?
All right. There will definitely be some attempts by European leaders to try and reconcile with Donald Trump, to bring him on the table, to negotiate and to have a talk, because we're talking about Greenland, who comes under a NATO nation, Denmark, right? So they do not want to risk the transatlantic ties that have been going on for decades, the US security umbrella that they have been working under, right? They don't want to lose that factor. They don't want to lose their security net with the United States. But the question is Donald Trump willing to come on that negotiating table? Is Donald Trump willing to even consider the diplomatic efforts that will be made from the European allies? Well, it doesn't look like so, because Donald Trump, as I said before, does not, follow international norms, does not go according to the set traditions. For him, everything is transactional. A lot of experts call him businessman first and president next. So this is how he works. It's going to be very transactional. If it's about Greenland, it's about Arctic security, it's about those access to minerals and the rich resources that come out of that island, then US says if it needs it, right? What we could also see is that European allies may be coming on.
Stay with me. Live visuals there coming in from Zurich, Switzerland, where Donald Trump has just come out of his plane. He will be heading to Davos to address the World Economic Forum. First visuals there on your screen. Top European officials, remember, also planning to use this week's annual summit of global elites as their staging ground for averting a fast-blooming crisis that he has put the continent on edge and may now even threaten the survival of its 7-decade alliance with the United States. 3 people familiar with discussions have also said about this. All right, let's listen to what Donald Trump is saying. All right, first visuals there coming in from Zurich in Switzerland, where Donald Trump has just landed. He is heading towards his chopper. He will now straight away be going to Davos to address the World Economic Forum. 7 p.m. is the time that we're counting down to, where he will be addressing the World Economic Forum. And this comes amid a time where Donald Trump has time and again repeated that he will be acquiring Greenland by hook or by crook. It also comes at a time when he has slapped steeping tariffs on several nations. Donald Trump trying to be the big daddy, and diplomatic intervention is certainly awaited as far as Donald Trump's acquisition of the Greenland is concerned, where he has time and again on his Truth Social platform has said that he wants to acquire Greenland, be it what may come in between. He's made that amply clear, and his speech today is going to be looked upon from a global stage, from different eyes. India will be keeping a close watch on that. And remember, Trump is also facing a pushback from certain leaders like Emmanuel Macron and United Kingdom's Keir Starmer. And meanwhile, in the near term, the Europeans' emergency effort also aims to de-escalate tensions that were followed after Trump vowed to slap new tariffs on any ally that opposes his push for complete and total control of Greenland.
Here we go.
All right, visuals there coming in of Donald Trump. Remember, the European Union will be pushing back Donald Trump as far as his claim as far as his ambition on acquiring Greenland is concerned, it is also about trying to divert the president generally from his campaign for Danish territory. And India will be keeping a close watch on that. Among the parts that Donald Trump advisors and Western diplomats have focused on are expanding existing treaties that allow the United States to place military bases and other resources on the island, along with adding commercial and economic arrangements. Such an outcome, ladies and gentlemen, would include some type of signaling ceremony that would allow the president to showcase an accomplishment according to the people that were familiar with the matter already. Ishita still continues to stay with us on the broadcast. Ishita, Donald Trump is certainly facing a lot of pushback, and there is pushback from NATO allies as well. There were pictures last evening that came in where there was a map of Greenland, and it was acquired by the United States. It was portrayed in that way. There are a lot of AI-generated images as well that Donald Trump has been putting forth on his Truth Social handle, where there is a flag of United States that he's placing on the Greenland territory, and he's made it amply clear by hook or by crook he wants to acquire Greenland. So what do you think are the possible points that Donald Trump, the United States president, will be speaking upon tonight at 7 p.m.?
Right, you've described the context against which this address comes at World Economic Forum in fact at Davos. See, Donald Trump is certainly going to pick up issues that have been, going around. We have, if I talk about 5 major points, remember this address comes right after he's threatened NATO allies with tariffs, saying that if they do not align with his policy on Greenland, then they are going to be slapped with tariffs. That's first context for you. Then you have strained ties with European Union over the acquisition of Greenland, saying that it is the necessity for the security of the United States to acquire Greenland. If US does not do it, it will be China or Russia. This is what Donald Trump says. And meanwhile, European Union says that no, it is in the sovereign right of Greenlanders to decide whether they want to stay with Denmark, whether they want to go with US. It is their sovereign right to decide, right? You also have a conflict going over that. Then you also have the capture of Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro and his wife, a strike, in fact, which we see, a lot of European allies were very cautioned. They gave a very measured approach, but something that is not, definitely appreciative at this point. And then you also have a tariff threat which he has put on, and then a major dynamics changing. In fact, United States allies going forward and pledging ties with other countries. You have Canada linking a pact with China. You have India almost signing, in fact, finalizing at this point, the mother of all deals with EU. So this is something that's going to irk Donald Trump definitely, and he might address those issues as well. And if you look at this address, it's not only for the international audience. Even on domestic front, Donald Trump is facing a lot of pressure. You have midterm elections coming in the United States. The inflation right now is high. The cost of living is going up. And this is despite the fact that Donald Trump came to power on the plank that he's going to fix the economy of the US, he's going to bring down the inflation, and he's going to make it more affordable for the Americans. But at a time when there is a global churn, even domestic front, Donald Trump is facing a lot of pressure. So he might want to also address through this, in fact, stage his domestic MAGA base. And through that, he could also, be more aggressive on Greenland. We have seen a lot of his supporters have been supportive of his stand on Venezuela or Greenland. So he could also be a little more aggressive on that, owing that push and giving more to his MAGA base. We're looking at these issues we're going to touch upon while addressing at the World Economic Forum. And of course, there are going to be 2 audiences for him. Domestic audience is MAGA base, where he's losing out on popularity, on approval ratings, and also the global audience who's going to watch it very closely as to what next step could come in from President Trump, who's been very unpredictable with his foreign policy so far.
Absolutely. Ishita, stay with me. We go full frame to the pictures that have just come into our newsrooms as far as Donald Trump's visit to Davos is concerned. This is his moment when he landed in Zurich in Switzerland, and he has already boarded the chopper. He is now en route Davos. 7 p.m. tonight is the time. It's an unmissable broadcast which will be streaming live on Republic's YouTube handle as well. And just to put into context, ladies and gentlemen, there have also been early discussions about suggesting the about the 1951 agreement, about the recognition of that between the United States, Denmark and Greenland, to clearly state that there would be no Chinese investments in Greenland, is what analysts have also said. And while Denmark has shown little inclination to giving up its territory, there are some senior Trump administration officials who have worked over the past several weeks on a proposal to purchase the island, is what sources close to Donald Trump have said. Now, Donald Trump, who's en route Davos, had also told reporters before leaving that he'll hold a series of meetings on Greenland while there, predicting that he'd strike a deal that's very good for everybody. The key word here, ladies and gentlemen, where Donald Trump has said that he will be striking a deal which will be very good for everybody. Now, he claimed that NATO would be very happy and that Greenlanders who have protested threats of American will be also thrilled about it. Now, even as we speak about NATO going against Donald Trump, this is despite Trump's sunny projections that he has continued to double down on his demands, insisting again that he needs Greenland. And asked how far he was willing to go to gain control of the Arctic island, Trump said, and I quote, "You'll find it out." But before suggesting, he took a look at all the alternative options that the United Supreme Court rules against his views on tariffs. So that's also a key decision that also falls in line with Donald Trump's speech at Davos. In fact, the White House spokesperson had also given out a statement where she had said the United States' acquisition of Greenland as a potential boon for NATO, arguing that it becomes far more formidable and effective with Greenland in hands of the United States, and Greenlanders would better served if protected by the United States from the modern threats in the Arctic region. All right, Ishita still continues to stay with us. Ishita, even as we speak about how all the global leaders will be keeping a close watch on Donald Trump's speech at Davos tonight at 7 p.m. Talk to us and give us a context about how Trump's speech at Davos today is also going to be very important for India, because we are also looking forward to that.
Right, of course, we've seen, ever since Donald Trump came to power, there was a lot of optimism about Trump coming to power before the elections happened. But we see right after he was elected as the president, the script is sort of flipped, because the situation and the ties between the two countries have not been very stable, despite several rounds taking place of negotiations for that much anticipated trade deal. We've not seen that getting finalized. And we also see Donald Trump becoming very aggressive against India when it comes to India buying oil from Russia. We have seen 50% tariffs still remain on New Delhi, imposed by the US. And we've also seen, Donald Trump has not been a fan of India's growing ties with, in fact, Russia. So, of course, the ties between the two countries have not been very stable, even when it comes to India-Pakistan conflict. Donald Trump repeatedly has made false claims that it was him who actually mediated the conflict between the two countries back in May, but that has not been true. New Delhi has refuted those claims, and time and again that issue has come up between the two countries. So certainly the ties have not been very stable, despite the two sides, of course, also sending messages of appreciation for each other. We've seen Donald Trump calling Prime Minister Modi his dear friend, a good friend, a tough negotiator, time and again. So yes, despite the words of appreciation coming in from both the sides, and New Delhi, trying to maintain this balance, trying to stabilize its relationship with Washington, the ties between the two countries have not been stable. So yes, New Delhi is also going to be looking at that speech, because remember, we are also, in fact, at the receiving end of 50% tariffs from the US.
Absolutely, Ishita. In fact, when we're speaking about the pushback that Donald Trump has got from the European Union or from other leaders like Macron, and like you were also pointing out, that India-United States relationship are not as it was before. And when we're talking about tariff as well, now Trump has always reiterated that Greenland is important for the security of the United States. Again, what does he really mean when he's trying to say that Greenland is important for United States security? And all those who are against him, he's become the big daddy. He's gone ahead to arm twist certain leaders, certain countries, and said that if whatever he says is not followed, there will be steeping tariffs that will be slapped. India was also one of those countries. So India, again, like you said, will be keeping a close watch on that. And talking about Greenland, there's also another issue that had also come into light was about, of course, the steeping tariff. The United States court had also ruled out on that. So Donald Trump, of course, has a pressure also from the United States court as far as his ruling on tariffs is concerned, as far as his slapping tariffs is concerned. When we talk about that, how is India looking forward to the tariff that he's slapped on several nations, keeping in mind that he wants to become the big daddy and wants to arm twist everybody who does not follow what he says?
Right, of course, Tanisha rightly quoted it, saying that US and Trump, in fact, at this point wants to become the big daddy in the US, wants to be the policeman in the world and wants to dictate every nation as to how they should go about the world order. And at this point, we're seeing that Donald Trump is going to address the World Economic Forum. So definitely, India is also going to be looking at that speech very closely, as I mentioned before, because we already have 50% tariffs in place. But the big question here is that, there's a basic clause when you talk about NATO, that's the clause of collective defense, that any attack on one nation will be considered an attack on all the nations. And Donald Trump seems to be threatening that very clause, the very foundation of NATO, when he says that military action is not off the table when it comes to Greenland, basically acquiring Greenland. In fact, as you mentioned before, that what is it? What does he mean when he says that Greenland is very important or very necessary for the security of the United States? Well, it is about the strategic location of the Arctic island. It is very much important. If the polar ice sheets continue to melt, there are going to be more polar routes that are going to be opened up, and more importantly, the strategic location will help the US in surveillance mission when it comes to Russia and China and their movements in those regions. So
right,
therefore,
Ishita, I'm extremely sorry. I'll have to cut you short on that because we are building up to the unmissable broadcast tonight at 7 p.m. And before we do that, we're going to build up to that big event that's going live tonight at 7 p.m. The live streaming on Republic's YouTube channel is up already, ladies and gentlemen. Ishita, before I come to you, it's time for us to now slip into a very short break. But don't go anywhere, because after the break, we're going to stay live on the speech that Donald Trump is going to give at Davos. A lot of anticipation, a lot of speculations on that coming up right after a short break.
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर, माँ की मुस्कुराहट और खाने की सुगंध। MDH गरम मसाला,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है। अरे मेरे राजा, सबका राजा आरती और मसाला।
आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला।
Iran is boiling. Iranians are protesting against the Khamenei regime. U.S. President Donald Trump has urged Iranians to keep protesting and take over institutions, and has assured them that help is on the way.
Well, no, they're starting to, it looks like, and there seem to be some people killed that aren't supposed to be killed. These are violent, if you call them leaders, I don't know if they're leaders or just they rule through violence. But we're looking at it very seriously.
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल, ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े, क्या निराला MDH मसाला।
इसको घर पे लगाओगे तो शादी का तो पता नहीं, पर घर पक्का नहीं टूटेगा। रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रांग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड।
पहाड़ों में एक हाइकिंग स्टिक भी बन सकती है।
आर प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, हेल्दी एवरी डे।
Iran is boiling. Iranians are protesting against the Khamenei regime. U.S. President Donald Trump has urged Iranians to keep protesting and take over institutions, and has assured them that help is on the way.
Well, no, they're starting to, it looks like, and there seem to be some people killed that aren't supposed to be killed. These are violent, if you call them leaders, I don't know if they're leaders or just they rule through violence. But we're looking at it very seriously. The military is looking at it, and we're looking at some very strong options. We'll make a determination. Well, if they do that, we'll consider things targets that they wouldn't believe. If they do that, we will hit them at levels that they've never been hit before. They won't even believe it. I have options that are so strong. So, I mean, if they did that, it'll be met with a very, very powerful force. So Iran's in big trouble. It looks to me that the people are taking over certain cities that nobody thought were really possible just a few weeks ago. We're watching the situation very carefully. I've made the statement very strongly that if they start killing people like they have in the past, we will get involved. We'll be hitting them very hard.
ये है सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिप जल जीरा मसाला। सिप सिप जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप।
प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ 8 मिनट में तैयार। क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
Iran is boiling. Iranians are protesting against the Khamenei regime. U.S. President Donald Trump has urged Iranians to keep protesting and take over institutions, and has assured them that help is on the way.
Well, no, they're starting to, it looks like, and
as he bulldozes NATO and goes to war with Europe. Can Europe fight Donald Trump? Europe versus America at Davos. Arnab's debate at 8 p.m.
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद ये तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा क्या स्वाद है। अरे मेरे राजा सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी।
ये है सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिप जल जीरा मसाला। सिप सिप जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप।
Iran is boiling. Iranians are protesting against the Khamenei regime. U.S. President Donald Trump has urged Iranians to keep protesting and take over institutions, and has assured them that help is on the way.
Well, no, they're starting to, it looks like, and there seem to be some people killed that aren't supposed to be killed. These are violent, if you call them leaders, I don't know if they're leaders or just they rule through violence. But we're looking at it very seriously. The military is looking at it, and we're looking at some very strong options. We'll make a determination. Well, if they do that, we'll consider things targets that they wouldn't believe. If they do that, we will hit them at levels that they've never been hit before. They won't even believe it. I have options that are so strong. So, I mean, if they did that, it'll be met with a very, very powerful force. So Iran's in big trouble. It looks to me that the people are taking over certain cities that nobody thought were really possible just a few weeks ago. We're watching the situation very carefully. I've made the statement very strongly that if they start killing people like they have in the past, we will get involved. We'll be hitting them very hard where it hurts.
Very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for staying with us. You are watching the latest edition of 6 Stories at 6 with me, Oyana Mitra. Over the next half an hour, I will take you through the details of those 6 stories that have dominated the headlines today. So here we go. First, a massive controversy over self-styled politically backed godman Avimukhteshwaranand, and if at all his claims of being a Shankaracharya hold any truth or not. Second, Priya Sachdev's first appearance after months at Delhi's Patiala House Court amid the race for late Sanjay Kapoor's 30,000 crore legacy battle. That is our second story. Third, what TTV Dinakaran's comeback to the NDA just months ahead of the Tamil Nadu Assembly election means for the alliance. And then, viewers, we take you to Davos, where at the World Economic Forum, Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnav has pitched hard for India's artificial intelligence talent pool. And at Davos, it's a mega showdown between Europe and America over Trump's mission Greenland. We will build up to that very key address, which is scheduled at 7 p.m. this evening. And finally, Republic special shoot with the forces, our Jawans, as India gears up for Republic Day celebrations 2026. With that, let's get started. All right, viewers, our first story of the evening. The Prayagraj administration has issued a notice to massively controversial self-styled godman Avimukhteshwaranand after he used the title of Shankaracharya during a recent event, sparking a row. This issue arose as the title Shankaracharya is traditionally associated with the heads of specific monastic institutions, and there are concerns regarding the legitimacy of its use by individuals not formally recognized by these institutions. Now, the administration has clarified that it was looking into the matter to ensure compliance with legal and traditional norms. But this Hindu seer, Avimukhteshwaranand, has defended his actions, asserting that his use of the title was legitimate. He has even gone on to issue a notice to the UP government. Here's more on this controversy.
A self-styled godman, a disputed title, and a political phone call that is raising eyebrows. The Prayagraj administration has issued a notice to controversial seer Swami Avimukhteshwaranand Saraswati, questioning his use of the powerful and deeply symbolic title of Shankaracharya of Jyotish Peeth. The Swami has since stayed away from the camp, staging a sit-in protest instead.
अतिक्रमण का मामला है, शिष्टाचार की तिलांजलि देने का मामला है, लेकिन यहाँ के प्राधिकरण ने ये सब परवाह छोड़ दी और छोड़ करके हमसे पूछा कि अपने नाम के आगे जगत गुरु शंकराचार्य क्यों लिखे हो। तो जगत गुरु शंकराचार्य हमने अपने नाम के आगे नहीं लिखा है, हमारा नाम ही अब जगत गुरु शंकराचार्य है। वो उनको अभी ये बात नहीं समझ में आई है, पता नहीं है। ये जो जगत गुरु शंकराचार्य है, ये ऐसा पद नहीं है कि यहाँ पर कोई बैठे तो जब तक बैठा है तब तक वो अमुक कहा जाए। ये जीवन पर्यंत के लिए अभिषिक्त आचार्य होता है, और जैसे ही इस पद पर विराजमान होता है वो आदि शंकराचार्य का स्वरूप हो जाता है।
Citing a 2022 Supreme Court order, The Magh Mela authorities say that the dispute over who can legitimately use the Shankaracharya title is still sub judice. And until the apex court decides, using the title publicly could amount to contempt of court. The notice gives the Swami 24 hours to explain why the disputed designation is displayed prominently at his Magh Mela camp. But this controversy goes far beyond paperwork. On Moni Amavasya, the Swami's palanquin was allegedly stopped en route to the Sangam, sparking heated arguments with the police.
कारण बताइए हमको कारण बताइए। कोई भी नई परंपरा नहीं है, पहले से हमारी परिक्रमा होती रही है, उसके प्रमाण है हमारे पास। कोई अनुमति नहीं है जो नहीं, आप कह रहे हैं नई परंपरा नहीं है, ये परंपरा हमारी बहुत पुरानी है। वो चीज आप कोर्ट में लीजिएगा, वो बात आप कोर्ट में रखिएगा। नहीं, आप कह रहे हैं ना कि नई परंपरा, तो आप किस आधार पर ये कह रहे हैं? वहाँ पे कोई अभी नहीं होती ना। क्यों नहीं होती है? रोज होती है, वहाँ रोज परिक्रमा करते हैं सनातन धर्म में।
Authorities insist it was a matter of crowd control and law and order.
इसमें होकर के पुलिस के साथ प्लीज अराजकता ना करें, इतना रिक्वेस्ट है आप लोगों से, सभी से, प्लीज 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 आपसे निवेदन है, आपसे रिक्वेस्ट है, प्लीज आप न करें।
Then came the moment that set political circles buzzing. A phone call to Samajwadi Party chief Akhilesh Yadav.
नारायण, कैसे हैं आप? अब देखिए, अब हम तो अपना लड़ रहे हैं, अपनी लड़ाई अभिमन्यु की तरह चक्रव्यूह में लड़ रहे हैं।
जो आपके साथ व्यवहार हुआ ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए था, क्योंकि इन्होंने जो
देखिए, जब कोई बच्चा हिंदू घर में पैदा होता है, हिंदू माँ बाप से जन्मते ही उसका गंगा यमुना में स्नान करने का जन्मसिद्ध अधिकार हो जाता है, उससे उसको वंचित नहीं किया जा सकता। इन्होंने हमको संगम स्नान से वंचित कर दिया। कितना बड़ा संवैधानिक जो है इन्होंने प्रश्न खड़ा किया है कि क्या किसी हिंदू बच्चे को आप स्नान से वंचित कर सकते हो? कर दिया इन्होंने। हाँ जी जी, सही है।
आप देखिए बनारस में तोड़ दिया, आपसे अच्छा कौन नहीं जानता इस स्थान कितने मंदिर तोड़े इन्होंने, कितनी।
हाँ सही है, सही है, सही है।
आप तो वहाँ के हैं, आप सब जान। और देखिए फिर खबर बदल दी कि कोई नहीं तोड़ा, कुछ नहीं तोड़ा,
सारा तोड़ दिया इन्होंने। 150 मंदिर हमारे तोड़ दिए हैं और अभी भी तोड़ते चले जा रहे हैं।
और कईयों पे तो अवशेष रखे हुए मंदिर के टूटे हुए।
यही बात है।
तो हम आपके साथ हैं, पंडित जी आएंगे, आपसे मिलेंगे आके।
ठीक है जी, ठीक है।
As Prayagraj prepares for its grand spiritual gathering, one question refuses to fade. Is this self-styled godman fake or real?
Right, viewers, it's a major twist in the high-profile Sanjay Kapoor inheritance battle case. A new legal angle has now emerged in court. Rani Kapoor, the mother of late industrialist Sanjay Kapoor, has filed a case against her daughter-in-law Priya Sachdev, making explosive allegations of fraud and deception. Here's the latest from Delhi's Patiala House Court.
The battle for the 30,000 crore inheritance of deceased industrialist Sanjay Kapoor has intensified in court. Marking her first public appearance after months, this was Priya Sachdev in court earlier today. In a fresh twist, Rani Kapoor has filed a lawsuit before the Delhi High Court seeking cancellation of the family trust. Rani Kapoor has claimed that after Sanjay Kapoor's demise, her daughter-in-law took swift steps to assume control over the key Sona Group companies. She claims she was repeatedly made to sign documents including blank papers under the pretext of administrative convenience. Watch how Priya maintains silence.
So, would you like to speak something? Rani ji ने केस किया आपके खिलाफ हाई कोर्ट में।
In another statement, the plaintiff claims that she was under the blind curtains that her late son made exclusive beneficiary of entire legacy and estate. 2 lawsuits, a legacy worth crores, and one family. Who is the real heir?
And ahead of the 2026 Tamil Nadu Assembly elections, AMMK chief TTV Dinakaran has rejoined the NDA fold, formally backing AIADMK leader E.K. Palaniswamy as the chief ministerial face for the alliance. This move is being seen as a strategic attempt to consolidate all anti-DMK votes in the state and revive the Amma politics in the state, as was seen during the era of J. Jayalalitha. Take a look.
The battleground for polling is gearing up in the state of Tamil Nadu. With just 4 months left for the elections to happen, the 17th Legislative Assembly elections is going to be one of a kind because there's multiple new parties, multiple new alliances, old alliances coming back together and old alliances breaking up as well. The main question here is, will these alliances actually make an impact in the upcoming elections?
It's a new beginning, says TTV Dinakaran, as he's officially back in the NDA's fold in Tamil Nadu.
I am very happy and I am very glad that I have rejoined NDA. Surely we are going to form our Amma's government in Tamil Nadu.
After the announcement, Dinakaran met Piyush Goyal, who is BJP's election in charge for Tamil Nadu.
Senior leader of the NDA, my brother Thiru Dinakaran has decided to come back to the NDA family. Thiru Dinakaran was with my father in the Rajya Sabha in the period 2004 to 2007, and since then I have seen his good work. I have seen his popularity. I have seen his leadership skills.
With this move, the AMMK has ended years of political distance with the BJP. After the AIDMK split, a reunion, crucial ahead of the 2026 elections.
And we are all brothers, we had fight. Now I have forgotten everything. See, in the interest of Tamil Nadu and the interest of my party, I have given up everything. Only my thought is, only there is in my mind that we should form NDA government in Tamil Nadu.
In a social media post, Palaniswamy welcomed TTV into the alliance. Dinakaran then went to meet Palaniswamy at his residence, projecting unity within the opposition camp. The AMMK chief also revived the Jayalalitha's legacy pitch, now in a show-off demonstration of strength of the NDA.
Surely we are going to form our Amma's government in Tamil Nadu, because in 2021, Honorable Amit Shah ji tried for this to bring Amma's government. Now he succeeded in it. Surely we are going to form Amma's government in Tamil Nadu.
With BJP as the national anchor and AMMK as a regional vote consolidator, the idea is build a stronger, wider political front in Tamil Nadu.
In politics, nobody knows what will happen today and what will happen tomorrow. But one aim for us is to bring back Amma's government again. It's the only aim we have now. And our leader, Mr. T.T. Dinakaran, wants his cadres to get inside that victory in this election, because 21st itself we tried for it.
This alliance reset changes the political geometry of Tamil Nadu. With TTV Dinakaran back in the NDA, the opposition chessboard in Tamil Nadu has been redrawn.
After J. Jayalalitha's dad, TTV Dinakaran had split his party, which then made on to be the AMMK, which was in alliance with the NDA until 2 months back and broke up because they did not get enough respect from their alliance leader, K. Edappadi Palaniswamy, who is the face of NDA in the state of Tamil Nadu. Now, taking away the differences between the AIADMK and the AMMK, TTV Dinakaran has decided to forego the issues that's been happening in the inter-party issues, while they were focusing on unanimously unifying the AIADMK as one. However, later he said that he did not want to be part of AIADMK, and that's the reason he split from NDA. Now, coming back to it, TTV Dinakaran has again joined the NDA alliance and saying that their only goal is to remove the DMK and the MK Stallin's family from its far. So we can look forward for an anti-stance DMK parties all coming together under the NDA banner.
No, they are with BJP. They have to succumb to BJP's pressure. Anybody who had cases against them have to succumb to the BJP's pressure. Only then they can be saved. That is why. He wants to be with BJP. That he had expressed already. But Edapadi did not want him. Now Edapadi says, okay, it is okay with him. See, Edapadi has changed his stance. That also should be noted in this case.
Okay, and on to developments from Davos, where the World Economic Forum is underway. Union Minister for Electronics and Information Technology, Ashwini Vaishnav, has firmly pushed back against the International Monetary Fund's description of India as its second-tier artificial intelligence power. He questioned the framework that was used for such an assessment and said that the country belongs among the leading nations in artificial intelligence. His remarks came in response to comments that were made earlier by IMF Managing Director during the World Economic Forum panel in Davos, where India was placed in a secondary group of AI-capable countries. That full take by the Union Minister for you.
Panel discussion was taking place on AI and economy at Davos in Switzerland. That is when IMF chief suggested that India comes in the second grouping of AI power, which is that India is a second-tier AI power. That is when Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnav hit back at IMF saying that this is incorrect, this classification is incorrect, and that Stanford, which is a reputed institution, ranks India at the third position in AI preparedness. Listen in to what exactly happened at Davos.
95% of the work can happen with models which are 20 billion or 50 billion parameters. We are creating a bouquet of such models. We already have a bouquet of such models which are now being deployed in multiple sectors to increase the productivity, to increase the efficiency, to increase the effective use of technology. So our focus is very much on making sure that AI diffusion happens in a very big way. And I don't know what the IMF criteria has been, but Stanford places India as third in terms of AI penetration, in terms of AI preparedness, and in terms of AI talent.
So there you have it, Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnav hitting back hard at IMF chief and talking about how India is taking steps towards AI transformation. If I have to tell you, India is already taking steps and taking initiatives like India AI Mission to advance itself in AI economy. And talking about the numbers, AI could add up to $1.7 million in India's AI economy by 2035.
Now, a sharp transatlantic rift is on full display at the World Economic Forum in Davos. European leaders are pushing back hard against US President Donald Trump's threat of tariffs linked to his controversial push over Greenland. Now, as Trump arrives in Switzerland, what was meant to be a forum on global cooperation is now heavily dominated by rising tensions between Washington, D.C. and its closest EU allies. These raise serious questions about the future of the Western alliance. We are building up to that very critical address by the US President at 7 p.m. But the drama so far for you.
Swedish Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson set the tone early at Davos, saying Europe will not accept being blackmailed. A direct response to US President Donald Trump's tariff threat over Greenland.
Obviously, from our part of the world, it's extremely important to state and to continue stating that Denmark's territorial integrity is of vital interest for us. We appreciate close cooperation. We think there is a lot to do in increasing the security in Greenland, but also in the Arctic in a more general sense. But we will not accept to be blackmailed to do things we're not willing to do.
The US president is expected to arrive in Davos today, but even before his arrival, tensions between the United States and Europe are already overshadowing the entire forum. At the heart of the dispute is Trump's demand that Denmark and other European allies negotiate a transfer of Greenland, a move European leaders say is completely unacceptable.
So I'm going to Davos. I believe it'll be very successful, the trip. The country's never done better. We have $18 trillion plus coming in. We've never had anything like it, and no country has had anything like it. Prices are way down. Gasoline now is $1.99 in a lot of places. And frankly, nobody's seen anything like this. So it's really good, but this will be an interesting trip. I have no idea what's going to happen, but you are well represented. Thank you very much.
NATO allies warn that Trump's aggressive posture towards Greenland threatens the foundation of the alliance and undermines decades of mutual trust. The US administration, however, has threatened a 10% tariff on Denmark and 7 other European nations, escalating to 25% by June if talks fail. European Union leaders have openly criticized the move, with EU's top official calling the tariff threat, quote-unquote, a mistake. French President Emmanuel Macron has now warned that the EU can retaliate, using its most powerful trade weapon, often referred to as the trade bazooka.
Europe has very strong tools now, and we have to use them when we are not respected, and when the rules of the game are not respected, by the way. The anti-coercion mechanism is a powerful instrument, and we should not hesitate to deploy it in today's tough environment. We must also advance the principle of European preference. There is a North American preference in your market. There is no European preference today. We are progressively creating it.
However, US's Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has dismissed Europe's reaction, calling it anger and bitterness.
The president obviously believes that national security is economic security is national security, and we're not putting a 10% tariff on Greenland. We're putting a 10% tariff on the 8 countries that chose to send troops to Greenland. I mean, for those countries to activate their troops, I'm not sure what signal that's supposed to send. It seems pretty quixotic to me. President Trump has made it clear that we will not outsource our national security or our hemispheric security to any other countries. Our partner, the UK, is letting us down with the base on Diego Garcia, which we had shared together for many, many years, and they want to turn it over to Mauritius. So President Trump is serious here. Just as I said, after Liberation Day last year, I would tell everyone, take a deep breath. Do not have this reflexive anger that we've seen and the bitterness. Why don't they sit down, wait for President Trump to get here and listen to his argument? Because I think they're going to be persuaded.
As leaders gather in Davos, the focus has now shifted from economic cooperation to confrontation.
And finally, viewers, in a recent showcase of the Indian military firepower, Republic TV brings you this special shoot just ahead of Republic Day celebrations, which showcase India's growing military strength, from tanks and artillery like the T-90 Bhishma, Arjun and K-9 Vajra, to advanced systems like the Nag, like the BrahMos and the Akash missile. We also spoke to officers behind these weapons to understand what it takes for our forces to operate them, which gave us a clear glimpse into India's operational readiness and the power of Atmanirbharta.
Now this vehicle is of extreme importance.
मीडियम मशीन गन, एंटी टैंक गाइडेड मिसाइल एवं ड्रोन से सुसज्जित है, जो दुश्मन की जानकारी देने के साथ साथ दुश्मन के बंकरों एवं उसके तोपखानों को नष्ट करने की भी क्षमता रखता है।
अटल, लोहे का वक्ष, स्टील का संकल्प बना। युद्ध काल हो या सीमाओं का मैदान, हर शत्रु को भस्म करे, यह है भीष्म टैंक महान।
और अब मंच की तरफ अग्रसर ऑपरेशन सिंदूर के नाम दुनिया की शिखर पर रोशन करने वाले 3 ऐसे योद्धा जिन्हें वीर चक्र से
जिसकी स्थापना 1973।
All right, viewers, that's all that we had for you in this edition of 6 Stories at 6. But do stay on with us because from 6:30, it's Republic TV special coverage as we build up to that address by the US President at Davos. Thanks for watching.
प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो, मिलाओ और खाओ, 8 मिनट में तैयार। क्या टेस्ट है, सबका राजा प्योर मसाला।
At Amity University's 2-week summer school, students of classes 9 to 12 get to explore future undergraduate programs as per their interest from over 30 disciplines. Students attend lectures by Amity University faculty, gain experience at over 400 labs and learning studios, and attend personality enhancement workshops. Register now at amity.edu/summer school.
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल, ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े, क्या निराला MDH मसाला। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे, केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
आर प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, हेल्दी एवरी डे।
Iran is boiling. Iranians are protesting against the Khamenei regime. U.S. President Donald Trump has urged Iranians to keep protesting and take over institutions, and has assured them that help is on the way.
Well, no, they're starting to, it looks like, and there seem to be some people killed that aren't supposed to be killed.
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर, माँ की मुस्कुराहट और खाने की सुगंध। MDH गरम मसाला,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा।
इसको घर पे लगाओगे तो शादी का तो पता नहीं, पर घर पक्का नहीं टूटेगा।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड।
पहाड़ों में हाइकिंग शिप भी बन सकती है।
आर प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो, मिलाओ और खाओ, 8 मिनट में तैयार। क्या टेस्ट है, सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे, केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
MDH।
Iran is boiling. Iranians are protesting against the Khamenei regime. U.S. President Donald Trump has urged Iranians to keep protesting and take over institutions, and has assured them that help is on the way.
Well, no, they're starting to, it looks like, and there seem to be some people killed that aren't supposed to be killed. These are violent, if you call them leaders, I don't know if they're leaders or just they rule through violence. But we're looking at it very seriously. The military is looking at it, and we're looking at some very strong options. We'll make a determination. Well, if they do that, we'll consider things targets that they wouldn't believe. If they do that, we will hit them at levels that they've never been hit before. They won't even believe it. I have options that are so strong. So, I mean, if they did that, it'll be met with a very, very powerful force.
So Iran's in big trouble. It looks to me that the people are taking over certain cities that nobody thought were really possible just a few weeks ago. We're watching the situation very carefully. I've made the statement very strongly that if they start killing people like they have in the past, we will get involved. We'll be hitting them very hard where it hurts. And that doesn't mean boots on the ground, but it means hitting them very, very hard where it hurts. So we don't want that to happen.
All right, viewers, these are live visuals coming in from of US President Donald Trump in Zurich as we build up to that key address by the US President at the World Economic Forum in Davos. In just about half an hour from now, we expect him to deliver his opening remarks. Now, as the World Economic Forum in Davos unfolds amid escalating US and EU tensions, we have seen a growing unity from European leaders in opposing President Trump's renewed push to acquire Greenland. They have framed it as a threat to Greenland's sovereignty, international law, and transatlantic alliances. So far, we have seen a string of European leaders, from the French president to the to the Danish president, and the chief of the European Union, Ursula von der Leyen, give their opening remarks about Trump's repeated push to acquire Greenland. In half an hour from now, we expect the US President to respond to the remarks that have been made by the European leaders. Their statements essentially emphasize solidarity with Denmark and Greenland, rejection of the bullying tactics, as they say, like tariffs that have been threatened by President Trump, and calls for collective Arctic security without any US annexation whatsoever. Now, this rhetoric has also intensified in the lead up to Trump's scheduled address, as we expect at 7 p.m., with all European leaders essentially warning of potential retaliation and a downward spiral in relations between the West and the European Union. And to give you more details about what Trump has said so far, ladies and gentlemen, in the aftermath of Maduro's capture, Trump essentially went on to publicly state that the annexation of Greenland was important for the national security of the United States of America. And in response to that, European leaders have come together in a defiant stance against what they call bullies and a shift towards a world without rules. As we stay with those live pictures, let's stay with those live pictures, viewers, this moment I'd like to bring in my senior executive editor, my colleague Abhishek Kapoor, who will give us more details about what to expect at Davos.
Well, what to expect, Oyana? I think what we should expect is whether Donald Trump, the US president, is going to declare war on Greenland, war on Denmark, and hence war on Europe, and hence war on NATO. That's what we should be expecting. Nothing less, nothing more. Whether Donald Trump, in his address from Davos, is going to read the riot act to Europe and double down, as they say, on his claims to Greenland. Remember what he has said, there is no going back. He has, just before he started for Davos in Switzerland from Washington, D.C., Joint Base Andrews, although of course it was not without glitches, without physical and geopolitical glitches, so to say, ahead of his trip. There was some electrical issue with Air Force One, because of which it had to fly back to Joint Base Andrews and then again flew off. Now we are seeing him arriving just in time for his 7 p.m. address, 7 p.m. Indian Standard Time. That's going to be about 2:30 p.m. Davos time. He has already arrived. We are getting these pictures. He would be there, serenaded by the WEF president, Borje Brende, and he's going to be making an address. Remember, this is the build-up has been nothing short of a war of words, so to say, between European leadership and the United States. We have seen European leaders finally get some spine, and we will get voices over the next 1 hour before Trump starts speaking. It could be about 7:15 p.m., if not 7 p.m., because remember, he's running a little behind schedule. And so if you look at it, we have seen Europe finally getting some spine. We have seen the likes of Emmanuel Macron, Keir Starmer, and Donald Tusk of Poland, and Giorgia Meloni of Italy, among others, really talk back at Trump, including Mark Carney of Canada. If not directly at Trump, they have been talking back at United States. If not talking back, they have been at least showing some semblance of self-respect in terms of deterring or trying to deter United States with words, if nothing else. Not just words, in fact, if you look at it, build up to the Davos saw the European countries, 8 countries, sending a military expedition, all of 50 soldiers, just a platoon is strength or 2 platoons, but still making a statement of sorts there by sending those soldiers to nuke in Greenland on a military expedition. Trump, of course, hit back with 10% tariffs. I think this was just a ping pong happening between a transatlantic ping pong, in fact, between Washington, D.C. and Brussels. And Trump has threatened that those tariffs can go up to 25% beginning June if another round of military misadventures. Yes, 2 platoons is misadventure for Trump, coming as it does from Europeans, but the Europeans, they're showing some spine. Some chutzpah there, really, if you look at the words that have come in from all these leaders ahead of Trump's address, which is happening. Davos, of course, has turned into a sort of a more effective than United Nations, perhaps, or more consequential than United Nations, perhaps, in terms of setting the agenda of the world. Because apart from the world political leaders, you also have world's corporate leaders coming in and participating on equal footing with the world leaders there in Davos of Switzerland as part of the World Economic Forum. We have seen Mark Carney of Canada really take on Trump. We have seen Emmanuel Macron of France in very clear terms take on Trump. We have seen Donald Tusk of Poland take on Trump from the same platform, and it would be interesting to see whether the American president really responds to all of them, or whether he really doubles down as he has been doing on social media posts. Remember, saying something on Truth Social is one thing. These are pictures of Donald Trump in that long coat coming in, walking from his Air Force One chopper to the waiting contingent, and the beast, of course, there arriving in advance. And from here, he would be heading straight to the venue where this summit is taking place, and the dialogue that Trump is going to have, whether it's an address or a conversation, we'll know in a bit. But can we have some nat sounds also on what's happening there, so that viewers know that it's not just all snow, it's a lot of heated conversations happening there. We also had Ursula von der Leyen, the EU chief, effectively pushing back against the kind of push and shove we have seen from the Trump administration on the issue of Greenland, saying that Greenland is for the Greenlanders to decide where they stand. And so it basically boils down to Trump deciding or not deciding to really escalate from here on. Look at the statements that we have seen. He has said no going back on Greenland. He has, as a build-up, posted a map of the United States, which includes Canada and Greenland, apart from Venezuela, which Trump has effectively taken control of. And then we have had that's okay. Okay. So we are building up to that moment when Donald Trump is going to make that address at the World Economic Forum. And let's look at all that's lined up. So, for example, President Trump is going to make an address, and let's see. All right, we are staying with the live pictures of Donald Trump, who has just arrived in Davos after a short heli hop from Zurich, where he landed in his Air Force One, and there were some tech glitches in Air Force One, because of which he had to delay his arrival, and yet he's keeping the time insofar as his lecture is concerned, his address is concerned, his interaction is concerned, the world watching what the American president would be saying insofar as the European pushback is concerned. We have seen European leaders really go after the Americans on the issue of Greenland, really coming out strongly, stoutly in defense of Greenland and Denmark, and taking very strong positions, something which we had not seen happening for the last almost a month, since Donald Trump has really refocused all his attentions on the issue of Greenland post the Venezuela operation, where America captured Nicolas Maduro, a sitting president, and effectively took hold of a country, a sovereign country. Now, Greenland next, whether Trump is going to double down from Europe in front of Europeans and read the riot act to them and does something which really makes them buckle under, or whether there would be a pushback. Remember, there has been tremendous amount of signaling from the side of Europe that they are not going to take it lying down. It's effectively what we are seeing. And in so many words, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney mentioned that there is a rupture. Though, of course, he was talking about a rupture in terms of the global rules-based order, which was essentially designed, defined, owned, controlled by the West, with some resistance coming in from the global South of late. And Mark Carney now they're admitting, the Canadian Prime Minister, that maybe there was something wrong with that global rules-based order that is lying broken. Of course, broken because of Trump under America, but then there are no scapegoats. There are no naming names here. Mark Carney there saying that maybe we need a new global rules-based order and do something about the rupture. But the rupture which is more visible is the rupture, transatlantic rupture, which is between Europe and the United States. And post-World War II understanding between Europe and America really coming under Trump. This is not the first time that Trump has done this. In fact, Trump really went after Europe and NATO in the first term also, but he has really doubled down this time to the extent where he's okay if NATO really goes down, and he knows that if he really takes some military action on Greenland, NATO effectively ends. That's the statement that came from Donald Tusk, the Polish Prime Minister, that if any military action happens on Greenland by the United States, we are looking at effectively the end of NATO as we know it. My business editor Pranav Kulkarni joins us here in the broadcast. Welcome, Pranav. And Donald Trump has arrived. Everyone looking at that moment when he takes to the mic. Remember, the build-up has been hot in that very cold, snowbound alpine resort where the Davos Economic Summit is happening. And I think, but for the snow, everything else is hot out there, right?
Well, absolutely, Abhishek. In fact, this is it is World Economic Forum, but then what's happening there is more political than anything else. I mean, we're seeing global order changing. We are already looking at European leaders, NATO allies of Donald Trump already hitting out at him. So though he has said that Davos is waiting for him, it doesn't definitely look like that because his allies who were so far with him seem to be really hitting out and waiting for seeing what he actually says and then probably reverting to, in terms of tariffs, in terms of a lot of dialogues going on about and a lot of backlash over his, statements so far. Is what we're seeing.
So I'm just going through the WA website and it says special address by Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. That's January 21, 14:30 CET, and that should be about 7 p.m. India time. So we are looking at about 15 more minutes. Special address by Donald J. Trump. This is a live stream session and public speakers in this session, which means effectively when Trump speaks on the dais would be President and CEO of World Economic Forum, Borje Brende, and Lawrence D. Fink, Chair and CEO BlackRock, interim co-chair World Economic Forum BlackRock. So I think we are looking at some fireworks. Rakshita joins us in the broadcast, and let's keep it fast-paced. Let's keep it rolling. And another 15 minutes before it happens. You also mentioned about the tariff factor, and the break. They did the geopolitical aspect of Trump really going after Greenland and causing this transatlantic or rupture in the transatlantic alliance. And then there is also the geo-economic issue of tariffs and the manner in which Trump has really gone after every other part of the world. I mean, take no prisoners literally with Trump. Like he goes after everyone, including in the case of latest example being Europe, where he has slapped 10% tariffs on 8 countries that sent a military expedition of 2 platoons really to Greenland. So, is tariff a weapon which, after the address that Trump makes, going to be seen as a pariah weapon and everyone else really fed up with this weapon which Trump has used of last 1 year?
Well, absolutely. In fact, if you observe, I was just listening to some of the sessions that were going on. JP Morgan Chase CEO, in fact, Jamie Dimon was, right now just live just a few minutes ago. And we saw questions being asked as if, if Americans Donald Trump's own citizens are scared of what he's doing right now. And he gave a very, very calculated and a very careful answer, so to say. So that kind of carefulness is coming from within America. But on the other hand, when you're seeing, it's more like a tariff war going on. I mean, when Trump is imposing tariffs on the alcohol that is being imported from France, for example, France, you're seeing Macron retaliating. You're seeing
was it really planned or just off the hat? Trump said, "Oh my God, this guy is talking back to me. Let's slap 200% tariffs on champagne."
with Trump, it really becomes so difficult and so impulsive sometimes when he's just standing outside Air Force One and one reporter just asked him what.
And Trump says something and then it's Scott Bessent and Howard Lutnick to mop up the mess,
Absolutely.
I think we have to slip in a short break, but of course this broadcast continues with Rakshita with me and Pranav in the broadcast. Let's take a break. Let's take a short break. Okay. We have a soundbite coming in from a member of Parliament of the European Parliament, MEP as they are called, I think, but he's from Denmark. Let's listen to. Okay.
I don't have an EP.
Let me put this in words you might understand. Mr. President, let me put this in words you might understand. Mr. President,
Okay, Rakshita, we slipped a short break, coming back on the other side of this short break and continue our rolling coverage. There's a build up to President Donald J. Trump of the United States, whom a Danish MP just said FO, coming in there after a short break.
स्वाद है अरे मेरे राजा सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला
At Amity University's 2-week summer school, students of classes 9 to 12 get to explore future undergraduate programs as per their interest from over 30 disciplines. Students attend lectures by Amity University faculty, gain experience at over 400 labs and learning studios, and attend personality enhancement workshops. Register now at amity.edu/summer school.
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर, माँ की मुस्कुराहट और खाने की सुगंध, MDH गरम मसाला,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे, केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
आर प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
MDH
Welcome back, viewers, as we continue to build up to the much-awaited address of Donald J. Trump at Davos. Let's quickly just take a look at what options now Europe has. Abhishek, to you first. You know, Macron teased something called the trade bazooka. You know, what option does Brussels really have, if at all they have? There are some options on, paper, something like anti-coercion tools that they have. Is there anything feasible?
I'm sure they have, and the build-up has been indicative of the kind of options that Europe has. So it's not just saber rattling. So, for example, we were talking about this military expedition that NATO countries, 8 of them have sent to Greenland, which got the tariffs coming in their way, 10% of them by the Trump administration, Rakshita. And then, of course, the bazooka, which is an article within European Union where if these kind of tariffs come in, there can be a retaliatory tariff, some of which is already, I think, being imposed. And we had Ursula von der Leyen, very combative there. And most of the European leaders, I must say, have found their voice really over the last 1 week on the issue of Greenland, Pranav. And I think it would be very, very interesting whether, if Donald Trump is a bully, then whether this kind of pushback from Europe really makes the bully pull back or no. And that would be very interesting.
Well, absolutely. In fact, if you observe, it was Ursula who yesterday said that Europe needs to be independent. That's point number one. And point number two, what she spoke about was that it's signing a mother of all deals with a region that is growing fast. So this is probably the first time that the European Union leaders are accepting that the real power doesn't exist. The real power centers do not exist west of the globe, but instead in Asia and India and China being, the emerging powers, so to say.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we mentioned China and India. We have had German Chancellor Friedrich Merz coming to India just last week. We had Mark Carney, the Canadian Prime Minister in Beijing just 3 days back. We have Keir Starmer, the UK Prime Minister, visiting China, Beijing next week. So I think there is, we had Macron in Davos mention that we really need to engage with China more. So I think there is very strong pushback coming in from Europe and strong message that if the United States continue the path that it has under Trump, then we are afraid that the transatlantic alliance, which shaped up post-World War II, is effectively seeing the end of its, maybe seeing its last days.
Absolutely. One of the European leaders, I recollect, just said, I think yesterday, that if we are not at the table, we are on the menu. So it's a threat for everybody that I think Europe, recognizes what Donald Trump has been doing, and it sends out a broader signal. Of course, that is also important to highlight what, in fact, Emmanuel Macron had said as we continue to build up to Donald Trump. We just take a look at Macron with his goggles there, much viral speech there. What did he have to say? The message that he sent out from the allies to Donald Trump.
But what we need is more Chinese foreign direct investment in Europe in some key sectors to contribute to our growth, to transfer some technologies, and not just to export towards Europe some devices or products which sometimes don't have the same standards or are much more subsidized as the one being produced in Europe. It's not being protectionist, it's just restoring this level playing field and protecting our industry. But what we need is more Chinese foreign direct investment in Europe in some key sectors to contribute to our growth, to transfer some technologies, and not just to export towards Europe some devices or products which sometimes don't have the same standards or are much more subsidized as the one being produced in Europe. It's not being protectionist, it's just restoring this level playing field and protecting our industry.
I think with those sunglasses, Rakshita, Macron is also sending a message, eye for an eye or an eye for an sty? Eye for an sty, maybe.
More than what meets the eye.
More than what meets the eye, yes. But, in the similar vein, we had Ursula von der Leyen, while she spoke about mother of all deals in the context of India, and she's coming there to New Delhi just 2 days later, but also that on the issue of Greenland, Europe stands united. Listen to her.
And right after Davos, the next weekend, I will travel to India. There's still work to do, but we are on the cusp of a historic trade agreement. Indeed, some call it the mother of all deals. One that would create a market of 2 billion people, accounting for almost a quarter of global GDP. And crucially, that would provide a first-mover advantage for Europe, with one of the world's fastest growing and most dynamic continents. Europe wants to do business with the growth centers of today and the economic powerhouses of this century, from Latin America to the Indo-Pacific and far beyond. Europe will always choose the world, and the world is ready to choose Europe.
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल, ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े, क्या निराला MDH मसाला।
इसको घर पे लगाओगे तो शादी का तो पता नहीं, पर घर पक्का नहीं टूटेगा।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड।
पहाड़ों में एक हाइकिंग शिप भी बन सकती है।
आर प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, हेल्दी, एवरीडे।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
MDH की देगी मिर्च,
देगी मिर्च का तड़का, अंग अंग फड़का।
MDH की देगी मिर्च।
Iran is boiling. Iranians are protesting against the Khamenei regime. U.S. President Donald Trump has urged Iranians to keep protesting and take over institutions, and has
Mehta, just 27-year-old, died because the